The war of words over the carbon tax shows no sign of slowing down.
Federal politicians are travelling around the country selling their pro- and anti-carbon tax messages. Senator Barnaby Joyce is one of those who's been out and about, and he joins us now from Sydney. Barnaby Joyce, good morning.
Good morning, Waleed.
Which marginal Labor seat will you be campaigning in today?
I'll go down to the Illawarra and in the seats of Sharon and Steve Jones. So it's all part of trying to get the Australian people their right to have their say and to show the Australian people that we only need one lower house member of the Labor Party to cross the floor and we don't get the tax. And believe you me, Waleed, that's the message I'm getting. I'm getting the message that people don't want this. I can't find a supporter for it. Therefore, if people truly represent the democratic aspirations of their electorate, they won't vote for it.
Well, a third of the country, even on the worst polls, are supporting it. You should be able to find someone.
Well, they're not coming out of the woodwork. It's not that you're walking around the football, Waleed, with people saying, gee, I really want a carbon tax. I can't wait till you bang a new tax on me. I can't wait till I'm poorer and the Australian Taxation Office is collecting revenue from me. I can't wait till you set up a system where the big banks are going to make billions of dollars of commission out of me.
You, much like your leader, Tony Abbott, are talking up the possibility of Labor MPs crossing the floor, which you say is all just need one to defeat the tax. Do you really believe that's even a remote chance, or are you just trying to put certain MPs in the spotlight? I notice you mentioned some MPs by name in the first answer today, to arouse anger in their electorates in the hope of taking their seats at the next election.
I think you've got every right to mention people's names like Steve Jones and Sharon Bird. Why shouldn't we? It's a democracy. People have a right to know that they're being represented.
I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just asking the question whether or not you actually believe there is a real prospect that they're going to cross the floor, or you're just taking this as an opportunity to undermine them for the upcoming election in the hope of taking their seats.
No, let's be totally pragmatic. If they did cross the floor, they'd hold their seat, wouldn't they? Because it's the overwhelming aspiration, especially when I go up to the Hunter Valley with Joel Fitzgibbon and Sharon Greason's seat. These people represent electorates that don't want a carbon tax. There is no point in taking money out of your wallet to make you poorer and at the same time have absolutely zero effect on the climate. Not even the most ardent believer in global warming thinks that this is going to do anything to change the temperature of the globe. So you're really becoming poorer for a gesture, and in the way through, giving the banks the opportunity to make billions of dollars of commission by pushing paper around the marketplace.
If we come to your promises and your side of politics of policies, how are you planning to fund tax cuts, which you've said you'll deliver now, paid parental leave, and on top of that pay for your direct action plan that essentially involves paying polluters to stop? Sorry,
that's a question?
Yes, how are you going to fund that? Yeah.
Well, we've already identified, Waleed, $50 billion worth of cuts. We've had even Joe Hockey the other night, he was discussing that the explosion of the size of the public service in Canberra, it needs to be checked in some regard. We've even got another $380 million, Waleed, just on this to operate the Climate Change Department. These are the sort of expenditures that have to be considered. You have to look at the fact, Waleed, that even in the budget we have some of the costings, some of the interest costings for the NBN. We've got another $56 billion of our nation's borrowing, while America's falling out of bed financially and Europe's falling out of bed financially, and we're on our merry way past $194.4 billion in gross debt. It's a matter of getting proper cost control into our nation, and you can find your savings there. Now, the way we won't be doing it is by banging a new tax on everybody, which is, I'd be a cynic who would say that ultimately that's where the Labor Party's off to with this tax.
What, banging a tax on everybody? Is that what you mean?
Well, they are. It's a broad-based consumption tax, Waleed. If you use power, right now there'll be people watching this show and they'll have a kettle on, that's going to be taxed. They would have had an electric blanket on last night because it was cold, that would have been taxed. They'd have a clock radio beside them, that would be taxed. They'd have lights on, that would be taxed. Everything they do, everything they touch, every part of their day, a broad-based consumption tax which they cannot get away from. They have to pay the tax.
Are you deliberately not mentioning the compensation measures that go along with it?
Well, when they talk about the compensation measures, it has to come from somewhere. It doesn't grow on trees. So people are basically forking money out of their wallet, spinning it around a multiple $100 million bureaucracy, and then being handed back some of their own money and being told to say thank you for it. It's absolutely absurd. Its effect on the climate, absolutely zero. Now, when you talk about compensation, it's not that everybody is going to be compensated the amount that they pay, and it takes into account where we are at the moment. What we do know is if they want to fulfil their promise, Waleed, of an 80% reduction in carbon emissions, taking us back to 1910 levels, so we can all go around on ponies, I suppose. Well, is your compensation going to cover you there? Because at that point, we'll need today's price of carbon of around about $131 a tonne. That definitely will be closing down coal mines the length and breadth of the nation. That definitely will have a major effect on the money that you have in your wallet and all your listeners have in theirs. The compensation there it's just pointless. You can't give people back more money than what you take off them, so they're poorer.
The opposition's talking a great deal about people losing their jobs from this tax. I'm just curious, doesn't that deny people's adaptability and the fact that they might actually have transferable skills that will land them new, perhaps even more sustainable jobs?
Oh, good, Waleed. And you're prepared to move from the Hunter Valley to Alpha in Western Queensland to go to a less gaseous mine. You're prepared for your life to be changed arbitrarily by an action of the government. If we said, well, Waleed, we're going to move the ABC studio, I don't know, to Darwin, you'll be happy to do that, especially when it's premised on something that you can't actually change, that is the climate from Australia. I don't think that is the way people like to have their life ruled. They like more freedom than that, Waleed. They don't like arbitrary decisions by a government that affect their life absolutely for no apparent effect on the purpose that it's put forward for, which is to change the climate.
Barnaby Joyce, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Waleed.